Baking Stories with Shenoba. This is my second episode. But Inikku, it's a special day. Inikku is the sister's birthday. So I am baking a cake. But it's not any ordinary cake. In the cake, you bakery la kedikadu. I can assure you. It's a special cake. Do you want to find out what it is? Tres leches. Tres leches is a Spanish word. Tres leches na enna Spanish la. Tres na 3. Leches na milk. So tres leches na 3 types of milk. Today we are going to learn to make a tres leches cake. So before we learn how to make tres leches cake, I want to give you a small history about tres leches cake. Tres leches cake engadhu vanduchu? What is the origin of tres leches cake? It came from Latin America. So why are these countries called Latin America? Simply because they speak 2 languages mostly, Spanish and Portuguese, and a little bit of French. But Spanish and Portuguese came from the language Latin. So what are these Latin American countries? Argentina, Chile, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela. There are so many countries. Mexico is the origin of tres leches cake. What is so special about tres leches cake? Let's find out. So I discussed about the 3 types of milk which we are using in tres leches cake. Ipo vande cake, what is the cake going to be? It's nothing but a simple sponge cake. Okay, so sponge cake, what is a sponge cake? Sponge cake is something which looks exactly like a sponge, feels like a sponge. So the base of the cake it's a sponge cake. In 1843, they discovered baking powder. Now banana cake use the baking soda, but this is baking powder. They discovered baking powder in England, and they added baking powder to the sponge cake and decided to beat the eggs really, really well. So that is when the crisp thin sponge cake became a big spongy sponge cake. Interesting, right? There are 2 parts to making tres leches cake. One is the cake part, and the other is making the 3 types of milk. So what are the 3 types of milk? One is a normal milk, one is condensed milk, and the third one is evaporated milk. Evaporated milk na enna? Well, evaporated milk is just that, evaporated milk. 60% of the water removed from the milk is called evaporated milk. இப்போ யூஎஸ்ல யூரோப்லலாம் evaporated milk ஈஸியாக கிடைக்கும், பட் இந்தியாவில் அவ்வளோ ஈஸியாக கிடைக்காது. So we are going to make it. It's very easy to make it, very simple. So let's get started. We need 2 and 1/4 cup of normal milk to make 1 cup of condensed milk. Now I'm going to pour the milk into the pan, saucepan. So that is 2 and 1/4 cup of normal milk. I'm just stirring this. The action I'm doing is stirring. And I'm going to wait till this reduces 60%. Or 20 minutes ahum, but it's worth the wait. Condensed milk and evaporated milk onnum periya vyathyasam illa, both are the same. Only difference is condensed milk la 45% sugar irukku, evaporated milk la there is no sugar. Condensed milk எப்பவுமே sweet dishes, desserts, cakes, ice creams க்கு யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. Evaporated milk, they can use it for desserts also, sweet dishes also, and savory dishes also. Savory na not sweet, salty, அப்புறம் spicy, அதை savoryன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. So evaporated milk can be used for both. Condensed milk and evaporated milk have the same 60% of water removed from the milk. I think finally it's time to take this out of the flame. ஏன்னா இது it's done. 60% of the water has been evaporated. And here you have it, our own homemade evaporated milk. Now that all the three types of milk is ready, condensed milk, evaporated milk and normal milk, we are going to start making the cake. So it's going to be a sponge cake as I mentioned. So it's a very simple and easy recipe. We can do it like this. Are you ready? The ingredients or தேவையான பொருட்கள் tres leches cake செய்ய 2 cups of sugar, 2.5 cups of maida or all-purpose flour, 5 eggs, 1 cup of oil, baking powder, vanilla essence, 1 cup of milk and a mold, a dessert mold. Now idukku vandu naan grease pannala. I haven't even put a baking sheet in it because this cake is going to remain in this bowl. I'm not going to demold it. The first step is making the dry ingredient. Dry ingredient ku namalku 2.5 cups of maida thevapadum. So when we measure the maida, make sure it's at the same level and it's fully packed. So this needs 2 and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. This is not baking soda. But banana cake baking soda use pannu. Idu vandu baking powder. So I put 2 teaspoons and 1/4 teaspoon. So this is your 1/4 teaspoon. It's a smaller one. So sponge cake baking powder is very, very important. I'm just going to run it through the sieve so that ella mix avum. Mix pannita. Dry ingredients are ready now. It has 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 2 and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Now it's our turn to make the wet ingredients, and for this we need 5 eggs. That's the first step. Egg is what gives it the fluffiness. So in the eggs on the number, we have to beat it really, really well, and all the air and the sponginess comes from this. As you can see, 5 eggs are nice and fluffy. To this I am adding only 2 cups of sugar, not half cups. So 2 cups of sugar. I am going to beat this mixture till the sugar melts. Here we have our wet ingredients. This is 5 eggs, a cup of oil and 2 cups of sugar along with vanilla essence, and we have our dry ingredients here. Inime இந்த ரெண்டும் mix பண்ணனும், but we cannot beat it whatsoever. But mix பண்றதுக்கு we have a cup of milk. கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா mix பண்ணும்போது we have to add a little bit of milk to make it easier to mix. My oven is preheating. 10 minutes preheat ஆகணும் at 180 degrees Celsius. I put little bit of the wet dry ingredients into the wet ingredients and little bit of normal milk. This is not condensed milk. This is not evaporated milk. If you see how fluffy this batter is. The air on the abdi vechukonu. We cannot remove the air. This is what gives sponginess. So I'm going to gently fold it, and the remaining milk I'm pouring into this. So இதை நம்ம gently fold பண்ணோம். Make sure there's no lumps. எங்கேயோ மாவு அப்படி நிற்கக்கூடாது. So gently fold it. As I said, folding means அப்படியே. Now my batter is ready. Pouring it into this mold. It's a beautiful glass mold. இது oven resistant. You cannot use every glass. You have to use oven resistant glass molds. Now the grease பண்ணல because I'm not going to remove this cake. இது almost like a dessert pudding மாதிரி இருக்கும். So I'm going to bake it first, and the second part is the most interesting part. So the batter is ready. I'll put it in the mold. I'm going to put it in the oven now. So this is a big cake. because birthday cake nala I made a big cake for the entire family. So it will take about 40 to 50 minutes to bake. We have to keep checking. The pata tariyu, it will raise and it will turn slightly golden brown. So here we have our condensed milk, milk number 1, our normal milk, milk number 2, and number say the evaporated milk. All 3 milks we will use now after the cake is baked, and I'll tell you how. Looks like our cake is done, so I'm just gonna check. It's a beautiful golden brown, a fluffy golden sponge. So I'm gonna do the test. Skewer right in the middle. Yep, comes out clean. It's done. For the next and the final step, we need to make sure the cake cools down completely. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒரு fork எடுத்துட்டு we need to make insertions like this. அவசரத்துல when the cake is hot, please don't pour the mixture. We're making insertions so that the mix goes inside. It has to absorb the milk. Now the final step, I am opening the condensed milk can and I'm pouring it into a bowl. The next step is, this is the evaporated milk. I'm just adding that also. And finally, the 1 cup of normal milk. I've added all the 3 milks together. This, my dear friends, is the Leches. 3 விதமான milks add பண்ணிட்டு I'm mixing it up little bit. And what makes this cake so special, so different, is I'm going to pour this mixture onto the cake. And once it sits in the fridge for 30 minutes, fridge la vechirunga adha pour பண்ணிட்ட பின்னாடி, it will taste divine, heavenly. Please try it at home. It's an awesome cake. Now is a moment of truth. This is what makes a normal sponge cake into Leches. This sponge will absorb these 3 cakes, 3 milks. Be gentle. Don't be in a hurry. அது அழகா soak ஆகும். இந்த sponge வந்து ஸ்பஞ்சினாவே soak ஆகும்ல. It will stick. அவசரமா ஊத்திடாதீங்க. Since it's a birthday cake, I have decided to do some icing. Now generally this cake doesn't need an icing, but because it's a birthday cake, I want to make it look special, extra special. So I'm going to use 1 cup of cream, whip it, and I'm going to ice the cake. It's completely optional. You can leave out this step, but I want to do it. I'm using a cream which has at least 40% fat content in it, or at least more than 30%. நீங்கள் cream வாங்கும்போது, fresh dairy cream வாங்கும்போது, make sure you're buying a cream which has at least 30% fat. இல்லைனா cream whip ஆகாது. In case you want to do this step, don't hesitate to buy a full fat cream. நம்ம cream whip பண்ணும்போது, it's very important to realize that we don't over whip it. ரொம்ப whip பண்ணிட்டா அது வந்து butter ஆயிடும். So கொஞ்சோண்டு powdered sugar add பண்ணோம், and little bit of vanilla essence, because again cream has a dairy flavor. அது எடுக்கணும்னா we have to add the vanilla essence. And if you want, you can add just a teeny tiny tablespoon of milk, and then if you see soft peaks, that's enough. இதுக்கு மேலே நீங்கள் whip பண்ணீங்கன்னா it might become butter, so let's not take that risk. Now I'm adding the cream. No, in the cream க்ரீமை வந்து அழகாக ஐசிங்கில் போட்ட மாதிரி போடல. ஐம் டூயிங் ஸ்வர்ல்ஸ். ஐ வாண்ட் இட் டு லுக் ரஸ்டிக். ஏன்னா இது வந்து ஒரு புட்டிங் ஸ்டைல் கேக்கு. ஸோ இட்ஸ் அ ரஸ்டிக் ஸ்டைல் கேக். ஸோ இதை இன்னும் நம்ம அழகாக ஐசிங் பண்ணுற மாதிரி பண்ண தேவையில்லை. இந்த கேக்கு பியூட்டியே இந்த மாதிரி ரஸ்டிக்காக இருக்கிறது தான். ஸோ plastic finish we don't have to give for the cake. Now after we make this cake will go into the fridge for about 30 minutes to 1 hour, and then we can serve it. And trust me, this is the best cake you would have eaten forever. I just want to give it some swirls like this. Now I'm just grating some chocolate over it to give it a beautiful look. So there you have it, a Tres Leches cake, and I'm going to just make it look prettier with a little bit of sprinkles. In the cake, the beauty is when you eat it. There is a proverb also, right? The taste of the pudding is in the eating. So Tres Leches cake, one of the most delicious cakes I've eaten. I hope you all try it. As I said earlier, you can bake this cake even in a cooker. Please don't miss it. Try it. Evlo easy mudiyuma avlo easy I have taught you. I hope you all try it and enjoy this cake. You should never miss it. Hope to see you again. Bye. Welcome to Baking Stories with Shenoba.